Hey guys, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I'm here to share a card with you on World Card Making Day. It's October 3rd, 2015, and I am super excited to share a gold monochromatic card that I made as a DT project for Alice, who is Vintage Gal 18 here on YouTube, and for her Etsy store, Happy Creating. And as part of my design team package, she sent me this awesome Chamel stamp set. It is by American Crafts. It has this super cool globe that says "See the World." It has this really awesome vintage camera, which I think is so cute. It's got some fun arrows, a heart, this word absolutely, and some fun little like confetti background texture pieces. And I think this would be great for cards like the one I made, but also for layouts and Project Life and so many other things. Happy Creating has so many awesome stamp sets like this one and from CC Designs and Lawn Fawn. If you guys decide to make a purchase, please use the coupon code CraftyPaws and you'll get 10% off your entire order. When I got this stamp set in my design team package, I thought, oh my gosh, what are the odds? My niece is going to be going to study abroad, and her favorite hobby is photography. And then, of course, over the past week, I have been completely brainwashed by Sandy Allnuck, who has been doing an awesome series on gold cards. So I got out this Ranger Queen's Gold embossing powder and the heat tool that my niece actually bought for me last Christmas. So how fun is that, that I got to make this card with things that my niece actually gave me for a card for my niece. This is a really simple card to make, but I love the kind of sophisticated and really luxe look of all of this embossing. Well, I just love embossing, period. So I hope you enjoy the process video. Thanks so much for watching. Here's that fabulous American Crafts stamp set, and I'm going to be taking out the vintage camera to create a background paper. But first I'm going to prep the cardstock with my EK Tools powder tool that prevents the static from accumulating and helps with a cleaner embossing. So I'm using that stamp along with two other camera stamps that I have. One is from a Heidi Swap collection, and the other is from a Snap Studio Simple Stories collection called Snapshots. And I'm just stamping out with Versamark ink in a random order, meaning that the different camera stamps are stamped out in alternating order. So I'm not stamping the same camera out twice right next to each other. And I think it creates a nice, pleasing look to the eye that they are all facing the same direction and they are spaced out kind of similarly in that background paper. Now I'm taking the Ranger embossing powder and I'm sprinkling it over the top of the stamped cameras, and I'm catching all of the excess embossing powder in a coffee filter so I can pour it back into the jar. There's very little wastage this way. Now I'm taking the card and heat setting the powder at the top and then flipping it over and heating the back so that it doesn't warp in one direction, and then back up to the front. And I generally try to keep my heat tool moving so it doesn't scorch the paper. I love when embossing powder melts like this. It looks like magic to me. Now I'm taking the Versamark ink and stamping it directly onto my card base, just along the edges, both sides. So when I heat emboss this with the same embossing powder, it will match perfectly the cameras on that background paper. And again, when I take my heat tool to the card base, I heat the front and the back so that the card doesn't warp too much. Now I'm going to repeat the process and use Versamark ink to stamp out that fabulous globe. First, I use my EK Tools powder tool to take the static off, and then I am carefully stamping out that image. Now this image is pretty solid, so I'm trying to make sure that I get a good, clean impression with that Versamark ink. I'm going to take that same gold embossing powder by Ranger, and I'm going to heat set that too. You can see me turning it over. This is a scrap piece of paper, but it doesn't matter because the back won't show. Now off camera, I have taken that embossed globe and used my Simon Says Stamp Stitch Squares die so that becomes kind of the center focal point. And because the background is so busy, I wanted the focal point piece to have some inking around the edges. So I'm using antique linen, and I'm going around the background paper as well as that globe centerpiece. Antique linen seemed to be a really nice subtle match of that gold from Ranger. Now I'm taking some double-sided foam adhesive and I'm cutting it into strips because I don't want to waste a ton of it to pop up this background piece on top of the card base. And I cut it down so that the edges of that card base, that gold, is going to frame perfectly that background camera piece. I just have to be careful about positioning it straight. And then I'm taking some more foam adhesive and I'm going to pop up that focal point globe as well. And I'm going to position that focal point globe on the top half of the card, and I'm calling this card done. If you enjoyed this process video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.